Bring me Java, bring me joy. A Miraculous Ladybug, Adrienette Coffee Shop, Alternate Universe Fanfiction, Chapter 2. It's crazy of him to be sad when a customer leaves. There are tons of people that come into the shop, and in general, they all are the same types. Some are nice, some are not so friendly, and some, he wonders if they have ever heard of the concept of sleeping. Yet this one customer, she's different. On a completely unbiased standpoint, she's just like the rest of the nice customers, and a pretty one at that, but there's also something about her that makes him love her presence. Her leaving makes him a little disappointed, strangely enough. Thankfully, the shop is empty besides him, so no one is there to see him stare longingly out the window, to where she nearly sprinted off to. He sighs and wipes down the corner, hoping that he really does see her soon, and not just next week when she comes in quickly for coffee. Though to be fair, he has no idea why she still comes in if it's so far away from her workplace. He only wishes and hopes that it's for him, because hey, a man can dream. It only takes a few seconds for him to spot the paper on the ground. His eyes scrunch up in confusion, and he wonders if it's an important list, or something that she's going to need if it's a list of errands to run on. Maybe she'll come back for it, he thinks hopefully. When he picks up the paper, though, he realizes that she probably won't come back for it. Not for a while, at least. It's a rough sketch, clearly with the faint lines he can see despite it having been erased, and the crumpled look of the paper itself. But that's not what catches his eyes. The drawing itself is what makes him nearly shout. It's a drawing of him, and a pretty good one at that. He's standing, mostly turned away, but not turned away enough that he can't make out any details of his own face. This girl, she very clearly has immense artistic talent. He's never seen himself to have such sharp features. Growing up, he was model boy pretty, and soft edges all around. But she's traced his facial structures to make him look a little less golden good kid and more like an adult than the usual teenage he gets. Honestly, he really likes the drawing, despite how unpolished it is. It's really well drawn, and it seems to have taken more time than she's been at the shop. He can only guess that she's been working on it outside of her break, and it makes his heart flip thinking of her being focused on his face when she tries to remember what it looks like when she's at home or at work, or even at the library, doing whatever she's doing. It also makes him feel a little less bad about thinking about her so much. He's not the only one doing it, so there must be something between them. Some kind of connection that's stronger for the two strangers. That's stronger than it should be for two strangers, but a mutual one, thankfully. This paper is proof, and he makes the conscious decision to keep hold of it until next week. It'll make for a good excuse to talk to her even more, and hopefully she doesn't get embarrassed and run away. Not that he'd blame her if she did so. The rest of his shift is pretty quiet, as long as you don't count the last 30 minutes of it, because it always gets a little hectic the last 30 minutes or so. When he heads off, he waves goodbye at the people taking over and grabs his bag to go home. Stepping outside of the cafe, he looks to his right, which is the direction where she had run off to. He smiles a bit like an idiot, because he can almost see her scurrying off once more. She's adorable, and he can fully admit that to himself. Perhaps not to anyone else, because it could definitely come off as creepy, but his point still stands. You seem chipper for a 5-hour shift, Nino says with an eyebrow raised. He shrugs and tears the hat from his blonde hair, hanging on the rack that they have right next to the door. Mind telling me why? Nino prods at him. Again, he doesn't say a word and launches onto the couch next to Nino. Nothing special happened, he said idly, looking away from both Nino and the TV. He's lying straight through his teeth, and he knows it. And Nino's probably picking it up on it too. His friend may be an idiot, but he's not in any way, shape, or form dumb. Adrian, what on earth happened? Nino asked seriously. Did some music producers come in and offer you $1 million or a contract or something? What happened, man? Nino says with an annoyed sigh. Adrian shifts in his seat. Nino maybe is his closest friend, but this is still embarrassing. That point still stands. We've been getting a new regular, he starts out, looking into Nino's eyes a bit nervously. Nino's eyebrows raise and he motions for Adrian to continue explaining. Or at least I think she's becoming a new regular. She's been coming in recently, on Tuesdays. Technically 3 times, makeup pattern, but Adrian had a feeling that she'd be sticking around for a while. She's actually quite nice, he admits, blushing a bit. Well, I hope she's nice with the amount of crazy customers you've had in the past. Nino snorts. Anyways, keep going. She's, he rubs the back of his neck a little and chuckles. She's really nice. Like, friendly and strangely easy to talk to. The first time she came in, I noticed her. And I kind of kept thinking about her even after she left. He admits with a sheepish grin. Nina howls with laughter, but not in a way that makes Adrian feel bad or like a creeper. Well, I remembered her and her order, which is super common, by the way, vanilla latte sized medium. But then she came in again, right before I started my Sunday shift, and I thought I saw her look right at me. She still left soon after I came in, but I know I just saw her look at me before leaving. And today she was the only one in the shop, and we talked for a bit. But then she had to leave in a rush. She left this. Adrian nervously hands Nina the folded piece of paper. His friend looks at him, and then the paper for a second before taking it and unfolding it carefully. Adrian sees nearly 13 emotions go through Nino's face before the man even speaks, and it makes him quietly chuckle. That's you, Nino says with quiet surprise in his voice. His eyes flicker from the drawing to Adrian. That's like really, really you. And it's a pretty good drawing, he says. Adrian lets out a breath that he didn't even know he was holding and nodded. Yeah, he says. And I'm pretty sure that means she's also been thinking about. She also thinks I'm more than just some barista at a new coffee house that she went to once. Actually, she told me today that going is a bit out of her way because her job is like 15 minutes away. She never told me why she still bothers to come in, though, even when it makes her late sometimes. But he trails off shyly and Nino just snorts, muttering under his breath about how Adrian's managed to charm a poor girl into crossing the city to see him. Adrian just groans and shoves his friend's face away, playfully, though. If this is going so great for you, what do you want me for? I say you're good on the advice of charming her, Nino says, handing the drawing back to him. The blonde puts it back in his pocket after carefully folding it back, much to Nino's amusement. I don't have charm normally, Adrian cries out, and Nino gives him a deadpan look. You, he says, waving his arms in the air, have no game? Are you kidding me? You have lost your mind, Nino says with a sigh and shake of his head. Remember in high school, and just how many girls were chasing after you? He says, with an eyebrow raised. Adrian flushes. Yeah, he mutters, but this customer, it sounds awful when I say it, but I don't even know her name yet. I wasn't interested in anyone back in high school. Nino cuts in with a cough, and did you forget about Kagami? But Adrian pushes on, ignoring him. I think this girl, she's really pretty and really easy to talk to. I don't know, do I ask for her number or something? His whole life, Nino was always better at actually getting a girlfriend than he was. As much as girls would drool after him and ask him out, Adrian was never interested. Nino, on the other hand, is a definite ladies' man, and for good reason. He's funny and brilliant and great at dating, even if it's for a couple of months. He's never heard of a single girl that truly hates him after the breakup. Just ask her out. She seems pretty well interested, Nino says easily, and Adrian looks at him worried. I can't do that. Why not? Because that's scary. I've never even asked out a girl before, and I'm like 23, he admits. Nino sighs. Dude, I know you haven't, but you can't just let her walk away because you're new at this. If you're new, show her that you're willing to take that dive. Show her that you want to get to know her and that you want to have her in your life. Look, you don't know her name yet, but make the effort to show her that you want to know her name. And tell her yours. Chances are the two of you will get close, and it'll be less scary, Nino advises him. Yeah, Adrian sighs, dropping his head to the back of the couch. Yeah, I guess you're right. Nino laughs next to him. Great. Now don't you have band practice? Adrien jumps up so freaking fast. It is safe to say that Adrien is horrified with his friends and fellow bandmates. One minute they're all fine, practicing for the latest gig they have coming up. And the next, they are mercilessly teasing him about his newfound crush. His face has been lobster red for the past hour or so of practice, and he cannot focus on his chords to save his life. And it didn't help that his so-called friends were snickering the whole time and telling him to just man up and kiss the mysterious named girl. He knew they were joking and didn't actually want him to do anything that he wasn't ready for, but goodness, it did still raise his heart rate. Luckily, or depending on what happens, unluckily, it's now Tuesday, and he gets to see the mysteriously named girl. He's been anxiously awaiting this the entire week and all of yesterday. His brain has been running through scenarios of what could happen. If he took Nino's advice and she said yes, or maybe says no, or no. If he just throws caution to the wind and kisses her in the middle of his workplace with the assumption that no one else is there, and if there is, they don't care. Which, yeah, he definitely won't be doing that plan. If he should once more shyly strike up conversation and hope that she smiles and sparkles like she did before and continue to enjoy talking to him. If he just chickens out of doing anything and keeps looking at her wistfully if she drinks the coffee that he tries so hard to make perfect so she likes it, wondering when and if he'll build up the confidence to do something. The bell rings on the door and the clock has just barely struck 2:10. There's a small part of him that worries that she won't be arriving anytime soon, but as he sees the silky black hair, he feels much more relaxed. How crazy does that sound? A stranger providing comfort. The shop is just as deserted aside from them, and Adrien raises his shoulders. Time to make Nino proud.